Do you actually need a running coach in order to complete the Dopey challenge? This was a question that came up recently in a Facebook group that I'm a part of, and boy, do I have a lot to say about it, so I decided to make a video. I actually was going to respond to the comment, and I just realized that there's so many things that need to be taken into account. So I wanted to make a video so I had the chance to flesh that out, and I hope you'll watch all the way to the end because it really is a personal decision if you need a running coach in order to train for the Dopey challenge. Now I'm going to outline what things you should be thinking about and what criteria you should use when hiring a running coach or deciding if you need a running coach. But join me on this thought experiment to help you decide if you need a running coach in order to train for your Dopey challenge. First, we'll start with a 30,000-foot view. And the 30,000-foot view that I apply to my life is, do I have the capability to be able to do this? Or do I have the time to invest into this? Now, in regards to the Dopey challenge, I do have the capability to be able to do this. I've been a physical therapist for over 20 years. I've been running for over 30 years. I have run a marathon before, which is the longest distance in the Dopey challenge. So I have the skills and qualifications and knowledge and background in order to be able to do my own Dopey challenge. Now, the thing is, there's still accountability. And that is a huge thing that a coach brings to the table, which we'll talk about more later. But I do have accountability in the fact that my husband is also running the Dopey challenge. So we have our running schedules up in the office that we share at home, and we're constantly checking in with each other. How were your miles today? How were your miles today? Because we run on the same days, but we don't run at the same times. So if you've checked out my training schedule, you know Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday is when we do our training runs, and that's what we talk about at dinner all those nights. Now, this is different than a decision I made in regards to my business and even in regards to my YouTube channel. In that case, I did the 30,000-foot view and realized that I didn't have the knowledge and it was hard to find the resources. So I actually did hire a business coach as well as working with a coaching team for YouTube in order to be able to grow those and get my message out there in a more effective method. Because the truth is, I didn't have the knowledge and I didn't have the experience. I had never run a business before and I didn't really know what to do. So I needed help. So I have hired coaches for other aspects of my life after taking that 30,000-foot view and realizing I'm going to need some help here. And think about it this way. Any top-level athlete is going to have a coach because they need someone to observe them, they need someone to give them pointers, they need someone to help them be able to perform at their highest level. And they need a cheerleader to keep them on track. So that's something to think about. Anybody who's performing at their highest level, either physically or in business or just in life, chances are good they probably hired a coach. And it might help if we change the question a little bit. Instead of, do I need to hire a coach? The question maybe is better phrased of, should I hire a coach? Or will I benefit from hiring a coach? Because the truth of the matter is there's enough information out there on the tubes of you as well as on the interweb that you can figure this out on your own. I do believe that you can. My question is, do you have the background knowledge as well as do you have the time to invest in figuring out a training program, in figuring out injury recovery, in figuring out hydration and nutrition and all those other things you need to do, as well as do you have some accountability built into your life, particularly with the Dopey challenge. I mean, if your friends, I'm sorry, but if they're kind of couch potatoes, they may be looking at you going, why are you doing this crazy thing? I mean, to be fair, friends, I ask myself, why am I doing this crazy thing? But if you don't have that support network, and worse yet, if you have people around you who are like, you know, you're crazy, you should stop running, and who are just pulling you down, well, it's going to be really hard to get through all that training. You really need to surround yourself with a community that's going to lift you up, that's going to encourage you, that's going to give you grace for the days when things don't go as well, but really who's going to hold you accountable for getting those miles in for your training. And the accountability factor cannot be underestimated when it comes to hiring a coach. There's actually a ton of research that's been done on weight loss in particular, and finding that when people have to write down what they ate and then submit it to somebody else, it significantly changes their eating patterns because there's accountability, and accountability goes a long way. When you don't want to go out for that run because you're tired after work or you want to hit snooze, but you know you have a meeting with your coach the next day and you're going to have to tell them that you didn't do what you said you were going to do, chances are good that you're going to get out there and do it because you don't want to tell them that. And here's a couple other things that a coach can really help you with. The first is creating your initial training plan. Now, I understand there's tons of free resources online, and I will drop mine below, but it may not be the best plan for you. You see, your coach can look at where you're starting from, what the goal is, which is the Dopey challenge, and help create a plan that's specific for your body. This will help to decrease your risk of injury over time, which will keep you running and able to complete all of those training miles. Now, number two, if you do get injured, your coach is going to be able to help you determine when you need to rest and when it is safe to push through. So I've had 2 injuries already during this Dopey challenge. The first was a foot injury that I had while I was on vacation, and that required me to decrease my mileage a little bit for a while that problem was healing. The second one is a problem that I have in my low back hip right now. I think is just from the muscles getting tired. And so I have had to, again, adjust my training mileage. I can continue to run through this one. And of course, I'm doing everything to heal it underneath. But there are some times that you literally have to stop running because it's dangerous for you. Now, if you have a coach who has experience in long distance running, especially multiple days in a row, that would be fantastic. Then they're going to understand the importance of training, but also the importance of resting when there's an injury that requires rest, because some do require complete rest, some require modifications. 3, you're going to have a coach to help you with nutrition and hydration. These are incredibly important, especially on a long race and a multi-day race like the Dopey. So you want to have someone who has already tried everything and tested it out and can give you the best recommendations for your body. And never underestimate the power of a cheerleader to be in your corner, to be encouraging you. Although I would say if I hired a coach, I would want to be meeting with them online or via Zoom or in person, depending on where they were, a minimum of once every 2 weeks. Now, that timeline may be different for you. You may need to meet with someone once a week. You may be okay meeting with someone once a month. What I have found for my running program, especially for Dopey training, is I would want to check in with someone every 2 weeks because it's hard to keep going and I would need that kind of cheerleading and motivation. So, do you need a coach in order to complete the Dopey challenge? No, you don't need one. I guarantee you there are plenty of free resources, including mine, which I'll drop a link below, that you can use in order to figure out all of these things, your training plan, injury management, nutrition and hydration. There's stuff on this channel about all of that stuff. But if you want someone who's in your corner, who understands your story, who knows where you're starting from and creates a training plan unique to you, someone who's going to be your cheerleader along the way and adjust the plan as needed based on what's happening with your body, then I highly recommend finding a coach that fits with your needs. Because let's face it, training for Dopey is hard enough. Why not make it a little bit easier?